So the weekend has begun, and yes, I'm uploading things to my OneDrive. Funny, I'm not gonna have money for it. I just wanted to see if there were any possible reviews for two films that I saw, and I will show you two films that I saw. I know it says I saw them twice, but I actually saw them one each because I originally had tickets for a time that I did not go, and I will happily show you that. So, looking at past events, I had a ticket for Watch the Skies at 12:15 and also Fight or Flight at 2:45. I did not attend those. I actually woke up around 3ish, so I was like, damn, I forgot to cancel these tickets. And so that's two of my four reservations. The other two, I saw Fight or Flight first and then Watch the Skies, so I simply just switched the order. But because of that, I have no more reservations. So I got four, and I used them all up in one day. Two, I did not mean to. Sorry, that's not what I meant to show. I meant to actually show my A-list as kind of proof. Oh my god. Switching over to the other one. So, you get four. Oh, yeah, I got one available for next Friday, so I kind of already have my reservations. Story of my life. Anyway, let's see what reviews we can have for this. Reviews for Watch the Sky. Which is this new alien-like movie. I guess I can give a little bit of a recap. The film is pretty much about a young girl. She wants to find the proof of UFOs. So she wants to watch the skies for UFOs. The film is set in the 1990s, particularly 1996. And yeah, I like movies that are set in the 90s. It has a kind of a Y2K feel. It's another movie that's set in 1990s. I forgot to give an out-of-theater reaction for it, actually. It's kind of like, Swedish Spielberg spirit. It's got like the spirit of Spielberg's E.T. along with the Swedish. It's got the Swedish feel, because it's made in Sweden, but they speak English with the Swedish accent, And so here I can load a few reviews, and I'll go ahead and attempt to make a playlist. It looks like the reviews are going to be pretty short, because this film is not really that popular. Oh my god, world's first AI dubbed feature film. That is worth a check out. Let's see what that's about. Anyway.
Hey man, it's opening weekend. My name is Tony. It's Friday. It's early. I'm at my post at the theater, waiting for people to come out. Hopefully we'll get right out of the theater feedback for the new film, Watch the Skies. It's a very small film, I guess about UFO watchers. We're shooting for right out of the theater feedback. David Zaslav, CEO of Warner Brothers Discovery Max. Watch this guy. See you at the theater. I got this gentleman here. You've been on this channel before. It's great to see you again, my man. Watch this. Yeah, it's been a minute. Watch the Skies. Yeah. Tell me about it. What'd you think?
It was a fun sci-fi film. If you're into that stuff, it's kind of got like a Steven Spielberg vibe, kind of like with the X-Files. Mm-hmm. It didn't take the typical alien narrative route I was expecting, which was cool. It's low budget, the acting's subpar, but overall it was a pretty good sci-fi film. I enjoyed it.
Subpar acting. So are they newbies? Are these like?
Yeah. There's no one that's like a big name actor or actress in it, but I did like what I saw. I know it has like a 90-something on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah.
But I would say a good 7 out of 10.
90% on Rotten Tomatoes. The movies like this always get buried, right?
Yeah. No, it was good though.
Yeah, that's what I figured.
Yeah.
Well, that's it.
Yeah.
Thanks for speaking with me, man.
No
Have
problem.
a good weekend.
You too.
See you soon.
You too.
Look at that, right out of the theater feedback for the new film, Watch the Skies. I want to thank that gentleman, whose name I don't know. I wish I did. He's been on a couple times before. In the beginning, sir, I want to thank you for coming back on today. That was awesome. Good seeing you. And to you watching at home, I hope you enjoyed it.
So, there we go. YouTube is acting a little odd because apparently my other account I cannot use. I cannot use my main account because I am restricted. I am basically banned from streaming. I cannot stream on YouTube on my other account, Modest Mike, because of the simple fact that I've been getting copyright. I got a copyright strike for violating the copyright of the community guidelines. I don't know how that works. Like I said, I didn't even mean to really do it during live stream. It's just you gotta be careful when you're live streaming. But yeah, I can't live stream on that channel. But I have a second channel. Funny thing is, it uses my school account, the very school that I'm suspended from. So I'm getting suspended from school. I'm getting restricted on live stream. You know, you name it. It's crazy. It's a save. I want to create a playlist. Oh, see, you see, I have nothing. Right? I have absolutely nothing to create. I can't even create playlists because of that restriction. But guess what? We're gonna give this a shot. So, making sure my Yep, that was that.
So you believe in aliens and stuff?
Her dad was the leader of that UFO cult.
Denise.
My farmer saw the same thing my dad was looking for all along. What if something took him?
They had help from a young girl. It's time to pull the plug on that UFO cult.
I've spent my entire life searching for answers. And now I'm a bit afraid of what I'll find. If there's one thing you've taught me, Denise, is that to know is one thing, but to believe is completely different.
So basically the one with masculine hero energy, the strongest person, the bravest person, the wisest person in the movie is the little teenage girl.
So you believe in aliens and stuff?
Her dad was the leader of that UFO cult.
Denise.
My farmer's
Masculine hero energy, the strongest person, the bravest person, the wisest person in the movie is the little teenage girl.
Yeah.
Hey guys, welcome back to
It does kind of give off woke vibes a little bit. Not sure if I can call it woke though, but it kind of gives off woke vibes.
Pop Culture with Pat. Today we are talking about the new film, Watch the Skies.
Nobody knows what happened to my dad. I don't feel normal.
You mean it's not normal to think your father was kidnapped by aliens?
When nobody believes a young woman's belief that a UFO abducted her father, she has no choice but to turn to the local group of skywatching misfits for help. Together, they dive into a high-stakes adventure that defines the law and challenges the boundaries of reality. And so Watch the Skies is directed by Crazy Pictures and stars Inez as Denise and Jesper as Leonard, our two lead characters here. And so with the opening of the film, we're introduced to a young Denise and her father who's determined to prove the existence of extraterrestrial intelligence and is willing to do so by any means necessary. And after uncovering some information, Denise's father ends up leaving and never returns. We then fast forward into the 90s where Denise is now a teenager and she still thinks that her dad's out there and she's determined to find him wherever he may be. But since no one believes her, thinking that her dad was abducted, she reluctantly turns to the group that her father used to be a part of, UFO Sweden, which is a group of skywatching misfits searching for the truth. And from there, the sci-fi adventure that ensues as a little Steven Spielberg's Close Encounters of the Third Kind meets a little Stranger Things and a whole lot of heart. One of the themes in Watch the Sky is family founds, and while initially Denise is hesitant to reach out to UFO Sweden, as the film goes along, she starts to realize that she has a lot more in common with these people, specifically Leonard, than she initially thought that she might have. And I would say the adventure aspect of the film harkens audiences back to favorite films from both the 80s and the 90s, and it has an amazing soundtrack and score to pair with it as well as you go along this journey. Honestly, I thought the whole cast was great here, led by Inez, who plays Denise in the film, and then you have Jesper, who plays Leonard, and I really enjoyed their dynamic and their relationship as it unfolds throughout this movie. as when they first meet, they kind of clash and butt heads, but as the film goes on, they kind of develop sort of this father-daughter relationship. And so I really enjoyed that. That's probably one of my favorite aspects of the film. But honestly, the whole cast, minus like one character of UFO Sweden, they were all really lovable. Both from a cinematography standpoint and a musical standpoint, I thought this film did a great job of creating this fun, adventure-filled atmosphere that invoked a lot of nostalgia for me as someone who grew up in the 90s. And it's also the first theatrical full-length feature to use AI for immersive dubbing, which I thought was really interesting, and I loved how they got the original actors to dub the English version of the film. Because you know, sometimes if you guys have watched foreign films, and sometimes they'll get English voice actors to dub a film that it was in another language, and sometimes you just kind of feel you lose a little bit of that authenticity. So where they were able to get the same actors to do this, they kept their accents. I just thought it kept a little bit of that authenticity that you miss sometimes with those other films. And by no means is it 100% perfect. The technology is still, I believe, pretty new. So there were a couple times here and there where maybe the mouth wasn't lining up quite with what they were saying. But for the most part, I thought it was really impressive, and I'm interested to see how this might improve going forward. Overall, guys, I absolutely loved Watch the Skies. This is definitely a film that I would say, if it is playing around you, check it out on the big screen. I love the visuals. The score was amazing. I have it on Spotify now, so I'm going to be listening to that on repeat. But it just reminds me of those Steven Spielberg films that I grew up on. The Stranger Things, which is one of my more favorite shows of all time. I feel like we don't get enough of these type of shows, these movies, and so it was really cool to see one of these again. And yeah, as far as the score goes, I'm going to give this a 9 out of 10. I really enjoyed it. If you guys are into things like Close Encounters of the Third Kind, E.T., Stranger Things, anything along those lines, I definitely think you guys should check this out. And if you guys get a chance to, I want to hear what your guys' thoughts are. So let me know down below in the comments. If you guys are new to the channel, please hit that subscribe button as well as the bell button next to it. That way you get notifications for all my new videos. Give this video a thumbs up. And as always, guys, please make sure to check back for more Pop Culture with Pat.
The iPhone could finally be dead. There's a tiny phone company you've never heard of, but it's quietly rewarding users just for unlocking their screens. Over 45 million people are already using it, and if you have 1,000 to work with, this might be the best opportunity you see all year. If not, this probably isn't for you. But they have already secured partnerships with...
Oh, good at the end. I don't want to use an interview, because that's what got me copyright. Got me a copyright strike because of the interview. Yep. I wonder what this little video is about.
Good morning, everybody. Good morning. What's going on? I'm rocking the new 7-Eleven drip. Check it out, man. Look. You can win 5K. A new winner every day in 2025.
Really?
I'm a walking billboard for 7-Eleven, but that's okay. I love 7-Eleven. Everybody's saying, bro, this is your sign. Ditch your car. I've been paying on this car for 3 years. Never had a problem with anything like mechanical. Super smooth, super reliable. I love my Kia Forte. I'm not upgrading a new car. My plan is to have this until I'm 40. I'm 30 now. It only has 20,000 miles on it. I'm definitely not upgrading. Now don't get me wrong. I love Toyotas, and I would love a Toyota Corolla or like a Tesla Model Y, the ultimate car camper. But it's just not possible. It's just, that would hold you back so long. If you just get a tiny budget car, live below your means, and one day I won't have to work 55 hours a week, because the chances of me making more money or getting a better job are kind of slim to none. I have no idea.
Never mind, I'll just watch that later. There's nothing to do with the live show.
I enjoy sci-fi films, especially those that tap into extraterrestrial concepts, such as movies about aliens. Some of my favorite movies growing up were E.T. and Close Encounters of the Third Kind, offering a sort of emotional wonderment I haven't felt much again. While UFO-based movies of the 21st century, like Arrival, have offered some gripping, emotional stories, they haven't really been able to capture the whimsy and wonderment I felt watching the aforementioned 70s and 80s movies. However, Watch the Skies managed to revitalize those feelings for me thanks to the fun yet emotional story it tells. The movie follows rebellious teenage girl Denise, Inez Dahl Torhog, in 1990s Sweden. Growing up in the foster system after the disappearance of her UFO hunting father, a surprising event in her town makes her determined to find out the truth about what really happened to him. This leads her to discover UFO Sweden, a group of investigators who worked with her father on the fateful night he vanished. Armed with limited knowledge, the team decides to find out what happened to Denise's dad, while uncovering an even bigger mystery in the process. Watch the Skies has fun characters and a wildly entertaining storyline. The movie stands apart from other UFO stories. Denise hiding behind bushes with binoculars in Watch the Skies. The standout element of Watch the Skies is its interesting characters, all of whom offer a unique perspective on both the investigation at hand, alongside the way they all approach ufology differently. It reminded me of the cast of Stranger Things to some extent, relying on 80s nostalgia by throwing back to family-friendly adventure films of the time. Torhaug's Denise is, of course, a major standout, offering a youthful perspective that adds uniqueness to the investigation. She's an active character, despite not being as knowledgeable about UFOs as everyone else. However, the biggest emotional journey comes from her connection to Leonard, Jesper Barkselius, her father's old friend who had a major falling out with him before his disappearance. He also knew Denise in her youth, making their budding friendship a major element of the story. Their strong personalities balance out alongside the rest of the team, with the pair bouncing well off one another thanks to standout performances. The same can be said for everyone else in the film, from the rest of UFO Sweden to the surrounding characters who become embroiled in their investigation. The storyline itself is just as entertaining, bolstered by the characters involved. There are many familiar tropes from 80s sci-fi movies, pulling from both alien films and non-alien films alike in its inspiration. As the mystery unfolds, new elements reveal a less typical take on UFO stories, offering some unpredictable developments that help the film stand on its own. It's these ideas, which I won't spoil here, that make the movie distinctive, elevating it beyond being just a tribute to past alien movies. Watch the Skies is dragged down by its most unique aspect. The movie's highly touted attribute is also its most noticeable issue. However, there is one element of Watch the Skies that didn't mesh with me, even though it was a highly touted element of the film. While watching, I noticed that many of the performances, while strong, were undercut by odd dialogue delivery. It wasn't until near the end of the first act that I started to realize the movie was, in fact, dubbed, and, to the movie's credit, it took me longer than usual to figure it out. I later learned this was done using the actors' voices and AI, crafted to create a more immersive dubbing experience. On the surface, this idea is an impressive way to utilize AI, keeping the original actors' voices in all renditions of the movie. But, in practice, the dubbing feels like a typical, middle-of-the-road dub. The voices don't always feel like they match the characters, and some of the line delivery is off-kilter, with tones that don't necessarily match the scenes being portrayed. Had the movie been in its original language, the presentation would have allowed the performances to flow more naturally. Instead, the English vocals feel like they've stripped away an important part of the original. Be that as it may, Watch the Skies still provides a fun story with compellingly quirky characters. While the AI dubbing wasn't to my liking, anyone who's used to watching English-dubbed movies and TV shows probably won't notice it. It was glaring enough that it did make some scenes feel less effective, but it didn't dilute the overarching ideas and adventurous mystery the film presents. It's a worthwhile, nostalgic UFO movie with plenty of interesting ideas that made it a strong, impressively passionate watch.
What if our H-Regrow spray doesn't stop your hair loss? Well, if it won't work, you won't pay. Zefta H-Regrow 2.0 is the highest rated hair growth solution for women over 40 right now. Women everywhere are seeing fast and permanent results, with over 17,000 five-star reviews backing it up. The secret?
See? Yep. So the film is not the best, but it's a small little independent movie. Worst movie of the year? I mean, I wouldn't go that far, bro. Like, I wouldn't go that far. Come on, man. It's like... I wouldn't go that far. Because... And let's look it up. Let's look it up. Let's open a separate IMDb page. Where did I get Jeremy Renner from? We're gonna pin this little this little thing here, and we're gonna look up the title. Watch the Skies. So the actor for it, the actress, I should say. I guess they're Swedish. Folks, you got Denise Di Hog as Denise. Oh, I said I'd give a little review. I never did I? Weird. So my review for it is basically a little girl, young teenager, Swedish girl. You know, she's from a young age. She's traveling with her dad. Her dad believes in UFOs, wants to prove that UFOs exist, so he works for this company. Turns out he's trying to get secrets from the company so they can spot or find the UFO. So he asks his coworker, who does not have a effing picture for some reason. I forgot which character, which actor. I don't know which actor, which character. But anyway, I think it might be this guy, actually, Jesper Balkasilis. You can tell they're, like, a different country because of their names. I mean, come on. I'm going to go out and... Yeah, it's this guy right here. It's this guy. His name is Jesper Balkasilis. He plays Lennart Severus. He's a scientist that basically gives Denise's father, Faja, files from the company. And he's like, that's all we have. And he's like, what are you going to do with it? I'm going to do this and this, blah, blah, blah. I forgot the line of dialogue. And he's like, oh, well, that's not actually a good idea. That can get me my fired from my job. I need you to give those back. And he's like, no, I'm going to keep them. And then they wrestle for him in a way. And he storms off. He storms off with the files in the car. Turns out this car ends up going to some other place that Denise finds later. Her dad goes missing, and she's stuck. You know, this happens within the first 10 minutes. She's stuck trying to find out where her dad is, where he went to, as well as prove the existence of UFOs. Now, I did laugh a bit because at the beginning, Denise has got a Game Boy. The year is 1996, like I said, and she connects her game. First, she's playing it. You know, you see the screen of the Game Boy. She's playing this little game. And you don't know what game she's playing. Maybe I'll look that up later. The game, I don't know what game it is. She's playing it, but then we see her hack into this door so she could enter. And I just laugh because I'm pretty sure those people that have tried to like use a Game Boy to hack into some computer or some ATM or something in the 1990s, because you know it's like a kind of a computer-based, you know, it's a game console, it's a handheld game console, and it's literally like me using my handheld gaming PCs, because they are computers. They both went off Windows 11, and I'll mention Windows becomes important later. But you know, using a little handheld console to hack into a yes, I said hack. Denise is a hacker into things, and she does it multiple times. So I'm trying to get my fingerprint to work on this damn Asus, and it's got a skin on it, so it's not working right. Little bitch. Anyway, so more or less, she's trying to get entry. She's just trying to enter the thing, the building, and because of that, you know, she has to go through security and try not to get arrested. They end up calling guards, and turns out that Denise has a friend in the police. That she does arrest her, but she, you know, she tells her not to mess around with things like that and shit like that. And she's like, I have to find my dad. They exist. And she's trying to convince everybody, but no one believes her, you know, which is why she joins this band of misfits. Oh, by the way, that police officer friend, her name is Tommy, as you know, right here, played by Sarah Sharpe. And sorry, I'm just trying to get these damn fingerprint to work on my, Asus here. Oh, okay. Well, it added it, I guess. Anyway, so I gotta take off the sleeve. My bad. I gotta take off the sleeve. just to get to work. So she goes with this band of misfits, you know, tells about her story about her dad. Apparently, though, her dad's old co-workers, you know. And, you know, she's apparently the smart one. Like, I don't know how old the actress is. Looks like, okay, shit, sorry. The actress here, born in 2004. Let's see if I can find her age. She's a young adult. I've probably seen her face. I think I've seen her face around somewhere. 21 years old. Damn. At least she's of age. You know. At least she's of age. So she's not a kid. Wikipedia. I don't think there's anything Wikipedia related, is there? Oh, here we are. I don't know that she's in anything. Let me forward to the page with her filmography. Okay, it's a bunch of European, probably Swedish works. So this is her first. Well, Watch the Skies is a 2002, really? Damn. It is a Swedish movie, but they did something with the audio to make it English. And I was actually going to watch a video on that, which is right here. Watch the Skies, feature 253. Oh, it's this one. So let's check this out. Let me make sure I'm showing my screen. Yeah.
For the movie industry, this is a game changer.
Vi är något stort på spåren här.
The Swedish language is a barrier when you want to reach out around the world. We were contacted by the guys at Flawless to take the movie and make a new version of it in English.
Det är att vi försöker lösa det här.
But not a dubbed English version.
We try to resolve this, but
They call it vubbed.
we do it together.
Visual dubbed.
We try to resolve this, but we do it together.
This technology enables things that we couldn't do before. Flawless and their technology gives us the opportunity to release the film for a much larger audience. We can go from our small country to the whole world.
I've spent my entire life searching for answers. And now I'm a bit afraid of what I'll find.
A lot of filmmakers and a lot of actors will be afraid of this technology at first. But we have the creative control. And to act out the film in English was a real exciting experience.
Let us wait! Let us wait!
How's it going?
It's going good, I think.
I won't try to speak perfect English. The Swedish touch will be there.
It's still our movie. It's still the actor's performance. And that's the key part.
Ja, men jävla förening!
Vad skulle de där göra utan föreningen? For them, it'd be like losing...
Their family. Förening!
Vad skulle de där göra utan föreningen? For them, it'd be like losing...
Their family.
This is the first time the film's played in front of a test audience. This is the first time the film's...
Okay, that's Burbank 16. I used to go there all the time. Let me do this in theater mode.
Played in front of a test audience in a vubbed form when it's been translated to English.
I really think that this is going to make foreign films more accessible. If more foreign films were like this, hell yeah, dude, I'd be more on board.
Who's ready to hunt some UFOs?
Dude, they're gonna do this with Godzilla -1. They're gonna go back and use this so-called VUM, you know, to basically make... They're gonna make the Japanese people look... They're gonna speak English, which is gonna be controversial because fans of Godzilla are gonna be like, that's why we like these Godzilla movies, because they are rich in Japanese heritage, and by making them look like they speak English is actually going to be well, it's bad, because of course they don't speak English, they speak Japanese. Because that's the thing about speaking in your native language, especially if it's like English, Swedish or Japanese, is that it gives the cultural significance of the film. And that's why we have subtitles. So Godzilla Minus One, for example, made in Japan, therefore characters speak Japanese, but they sub it in English so that we can read what they're saying. But they're not going to dub it in English because that would get rid of the whole cultural feel of it. I mean, they're probably going to try, but it's going to be controversial.
For countries that normally dub their movies, their audience will have such a better experience.
Awesome!
It opens up a whole world of films for people to watch. It was one of the best films I've seen in years.
If there's one thing you've taught me, Denise, is that to know is one thing, but to believe is completely different.
Try not to press the power button, right? Okay. Just stupid. It is a bit difficult, that's sure. There we go. I think I've added just enough. I could use the hand okay? Stop. Okay. Okay. So. What's going on? Wait. If you want to buy me a new battery, please go ahead. Okay, then, there we go. Got that out of the way, had to register my fingerprint. So, that's the first time we're gonna see them use verb, which is, oh, my PIN number's required now? Oh my god. So, I mentioned Windows, right? Windows, so they have Windows 3.0, which, I don't know if I check my sources, I'm not sure when Windows 3.0 came out, which is basically three release date. Oh, 1990. So the film is set in 1996, oddly enough. And so, it's like, oh my god, this dude, come on, really? Can I not get it in English? Can I not get this thing in English like naturally? Do I have to select translate? Oh my god. Yeah, it's gonna do that then. It's gonna fucking do that. Okay, select all and then. Oh, come on. Anybody here speak Sweden? No? I know this means discussion and article. I got that much. God. Okay, so bear with me while I try to see if I can get an English translator of sort. I thought that it would be built into the browser. You know what? Fuck it. I'm going to copy and paste the URL into Microsoft Edge here. And then we're just gonna, yeah. Yeah, now I can translate. Okay. So this is about the actress. UFO Sweden was the name of the movie, actually, in Sweden. But in English, it was called Watch the Skies. I don't know why they chose to change the name of the movie, per se. Dude, really? Anyway. Yeah, it's created by Crazy Pictures. The plot takes place in 1996. The foster home teenage rebel Denise begins to believe that her father, who disappeared 8 years ago, is not dead but kidnapped by UFOs. When no one else believes her, she enlists the help of a local UFO association, which her father was a part of, to try to find out the truth. And you got the cast list right here. Not much to explain. They began filming in 2021. It's not a big movie. I want to know if it has anything about AI. I'm sorry, AI. Sorry. AI. No. Damn. Well, let's look up Vogue. So, film. VU. Fucking really? Sorry, I guess that doesn't really work though, does it? Anyway, I'm not trying to use Microsoft Edge. I'm just trying to stick to my browser, Opera GX here, and I'm trying to find if there's anything else about AI that's good. AI, Vim, which is, what did they say in the video? The first AI dub feature. Let's rewatch that.
A new version of it in English.
Det vi försöker lösa det här.
To contacted by the guys at Flawless to take the movie and make a new version of it in English.
Det vi försöker lösa det här.
But not a dubbed English version.
We try to resolve this, but
They call it vubbed.
we do it together.
Visual dubbed.
We try to resolve this, but we do it together.
This technology enables things that we couldn't do before. Flawless and their technology gives us the opportunity to release the film for a much larger audience. We can go from our small country, much larger audience. We can go from our small country to the whole world.
If they can dub it in English, they can dub it in any other language. Like they can dub an English movie in Japanese or Chinese or whatever, you know. And they don't really need, they won't need captions. So this is a new breakthrough. But and I could tell that something was off about the lip sync. I was like, is this English dubbed somehow? It's kind of like watching an old Jackie Chan movie, an old Jet Li movie, you know, before they could speak English. And of course they'd be speaking their native tongue, but they would always dub English voiceover over the lip sync, you know. And you could tell that the Asians couldn't speak English, but they were paid to act, and yet they hire English American voice actors to play the vocal part, the audio part. Bruce Lee never had this issue. He could actually speak English, yeah. But I remember that Jackie Chan had that thing. He was learning English. Jet Li said English was the hardest language for him to learn. So when he started learning English, you know, his movies, he couldn't speak it fluid enough to actually repeat the dialogue. Because you're not just reading it, you got to remember with the dialogue, you know. And that was a big part for a lot of Asian actors. I'm sorry.
I've spent my entire life searching for answers. And now I'm a bit afraid of what I'll find.
So
a lot of filmmakers and a lot of actors will be afraid of this technology at first. But we have the
plane missing over Baltic Sea. So I don't think it's just reading of the lips. I think the AI is also like doing that. You know, it's taking that and reading it in English. It's basically translating. That's what the AI is doing, is translating.
a lot of filmmakers and a lot of actors will be afraid of this technology at first.
Yeah, flying, plane, airplane. Oh, okay, yep.
But we have the creative control. And to act out the film in English was a real exciting experience.
Let us wait!
And to act out the film in English was a real exciting experience.
Let us wait! Let us wait!
How's it going?
It's going good, I think.
I won't try to speak perfect English. The Swedish touch will be there.
It's still our movie. It's still the actor's performance. And that's the key part.
Det är en jävla förening!
Yeah, I think
Vad skulle de där göra utan föreningen? For them, it'd be like losing...
Their family.
This is the first time the film's played in front of a test audience in a dubbed form when it's been translated to English.
I really think that this is going to make foreign films more accessible. If more foreign films were like this, hell yeah, dude, I'd be more on board.
Who's ready to hunt some UFOs?
Yeah, it's definitely going to be controversial because AI is not really trusted in the arts right now. But we have no choice because, you know, it's with Donald Trump making the fucking tariffs, I can see a lot more filmmakers using AI some way, in some creative form. Because if you're forced to film in America, where it's going to cost a lot of money to film on location, a lot of the stuff is already said to be... They're going to use a lot of CGI to make realistic locations. So let's say if the setting of your film is in Japan, instead of going to Japan, they're going to basically look up the location and have AI create the image or help create the image. And that looks fake at one point. At one point, it's not believable. And when you watch enough of these CGI-like films, you can tell that was not filmed on location because you can tell it was a green screen. That you have to have green screen to block out the background, and so that you can computerize your background. You know how like you watch if you watch me for a second. Let's go into this, and let's say my background. This is a real background, by the way. You know, I can show you. You know, when I walk. You know, that's a real background, but let's say if I create a filter, I don't know if I can do this. Let's see. Now, I'm not sure. Okay, there we go. Yeah, that's weird. I've had that before. Damn it. That's weird. Yeah, we're not gonna do that. But anyway, I could change my background to be like something else. You know, you do it a lot in Zoom, but it works better if you have a green screen in the back. That's why some YouTubers, they use, if they want to use a background, they use a green screen. They have a green screen set up in the room. So, yeah. Anyway, let's get back to it. I watched another film, I forgot the name, called Fight or Flight. Now, this movie is going to be actually, well, more of a liked video. I personally liked Fight or Flight, you know, so Fight or Flight was like a bullet train, but on a plane. And I kind of already knew that. You know, I already more or less knew that when I watched the trailer. I was like, based on the font alone, the font is in yellow of the poster. The font is yellow. I was like, this looks like Bullet Train, but on a plane. And Chris Gore has said that, you know. He said that, and I'm like, I said that first. I copyright that. Damn it. Yep, definitely a crazy ass movie. I love that movie. I like movies like this. You can tell, look, the actor's crazy. Let me give a minute review. So Josh Hartnett is back. We saw him in a Trap last year. That was a big disappointment for me personally because I got my hopes up about that one film. It's definitely a disappointment. But this one, I'm not gonna go into Trap. You know, this one is definitely a game changer. It's funny. It was unique-ish. He's fighting on a plane. It's ridiculous. It's a stupid idea. Chris Gore said that, but it's stupid in a way that reminds you of Bullet Train. It is like Bullet Train. But I would say this character is more violent, if you get what that means. So if I go into God, I really got to get myself organized here. Fight or Flight. I'm an amateur. Let's go into 2024. I wonder why it says that. Some of these movies are not coming out until this year. I'm going to rate this movie. I guess about a 6 out of 10. Actually, no. Make it a 7 out of 10. It wasn't that bad. A mercenary takes on a job of tracking down a target on a plane that must protect her when they're surrounded by people trying to kill both of them. So what happens is he's called in by a she-boss, a woman, right? First you're introduced to this asshole-like boss who's a man. And we see how much of an asshole he is. He's going through people. He's, without saying excuse me, he's taking an elevator before people get on and not letting them get on. And he's like, nope, not today. Because he's like, he wants to get there first because he's important. He's got to be in an important time, in an important place at an important time. So he gets there and he's like, what the fuck is going on? Tell me what's going on. Tell me this is important immediately. And he gives off asshole vibes, you know. So move out of the way, John Walker of Thunderbolts. This guy's an even bigger asshole. So, played by Aaron Huddle, Julian Kostov is that asshole. And he's like the first character we introduced. So he's like trying to figure out what's going on. There's this problem. There's this character called Ghost, which is like this somebody that they think it's a middle-aged man, and they want to catch Ghost. They've been looking for Ghost for a while. Ghost has been slipping through, been not getting caught. It's causing all kind of hell, chaos everywhere, much to the anger of Aaron Huddle. Oh, okay, I get it. I'm sorry. Julian Kostov plays Aaron Huddle. Sorry, I got the names switched over. Anyway, so yeah, they're looking for this guy. And turns out that Aaron Huddle works for a Catherine Brunt, played by Katie Sackhoff. She had a show called Painkiller Jane, I believe, on Sci-Fi a while back in 2000. She was in Battlestar Galactica, Halloween Resurrection. I don't remember when there. She was in Riddick, that remake or whatever it was. But she was in a show called Painkiller Jane. And that's what I remember. It's not gonna show it. Okay, whatever. Anyway, what was it? Bionic Woman. Anyway, she pretty much is the gore boss, and she wants to know what's going on. Oh, so she's not in that one. What is one she was? Interesting. I got my shit confused. Anyway, so she sees the girl boss. She wants to know what's going on, so she asks one of the techies to explain the situation. The techie is Agent Kyle Robertson, played by Judah James, and he lets her know what's going on. Her and Agent Paul Simmons, played by William Vanderviet, and they pretty much, that they work for both Aaron and Catherine. So Catherine, she's told everything about ghosts so far as they know, and she enlists the help of Lucas Reyes, who is this wanted man. He's a former CIA operative. I believe Secret Service operative. Sorry, Secret Service. So he was on the president's staff, the president's personal guard, right? And apparently a long time ago, Lucas Reyes, played by Josh Hartnett, he did something very, very wrong to put him on the government's bad list, blacklist. He's blacklisted and he's wanted. He's hunted down. Apparently for the past few years, I think it's been like 2 or 3 years, he's been hunted down, and every single person that went after him has not come back. So he's killed every one of his hunters. And of course Catherine is aware of this, but she has no choice but to enlist his services. So she contacts him. I don't know how she still obtains his number. Apparently they were boyfriend and girlfriend for a bit. More on that later. But she kept his number, and apparently he kept her number because he sees the number and he's like, fuck you, and hangs up the phone. He doesn't want to answer it. First he doesn't want to answer it, but then he does. She tells him that she needs him, and he's like, fuck you. Remember what happened? All this stuff. There's bad blood between them anyway. But then he ends up taking the mission, and the mission leads him getting on a plane. But apparently, according to him, he's like, remember, you had me a flight risk. You had me labeled as a flight risk, which means he can't fly on a plane. So, he's basically, on the one, and of course he's not going to get on the plane. And if he gets on the plane, then he has to deal with being caught on the plane, more or less. So, yeah, he's been... he's been labeled as a flight risk, but somehow she walks around that. She says, don't worry, I'll take care of it. I have a plane ticket ready for you as soon as you get to the airport. And so she does that. She makes it to where he's not a flight risk, and he texted her, what about that plane ticket? And apparently there's this guy that passes the passport onto him, in like a yellow manila envelope. Kind of like you pass on drugs or a gun or something like that. He's like, what about that plane ticket? And somebody says, Reyes? And it's like, oh. And, it's kind of happened so quickly because the person doesn't want to get caught. I don't know the person who passes it to him, but anyway, he's got this passport, and he's like, and she loads, and she puts on his phone, his itinerary is digital on the phone. And at first, whenever they want his passport, the first 2 times it doesn't work. It says invalid passport. And then the supervisor happens to come around, speaking in Korean, because he's in Korea, and he slams the passport down and hits the scanner, and all of a sudden it just works. Not only did it take 3 times, but it took the supervisor, the boss, coming and slamming it down, hitting the scanner to make it say passport verified. And I was like, wow, this is one of those films. Anyway, it gets on the plane. It's getting comfortable. It's not long until we find out that the plane is full of bounty hunters that are all looking for the character Ghost. Not the Thunderbolts. Not to be confused with Hannah's character. Not to be confused with, what's her name? This character in the background, played by, not to be confused with Ava Starr of Hannah John Kamen. Completely different character. It's kind of funny, though. This movie came out the following week. I bet somebody else is going to say that. Anyway, the Ghost is supposedly supposed to be on the plane, and Josh's character, Josh Hartnett, Lucas Reyes, is tasked with finding Ghost and bringing him or her in alive. Really bringing him in alive. That's what Catherine Brunt is paying him for. I will pay you handsomely if you do this one mission for me. Bring him to me alive. So that's his mission. But, of course, he has to fight a bunch of people. Fight and kill a bunch of people. you see where the bullet trainness is coming in. His first opponent is Kiani, played by Marco Zoro. This guy starts off as a kind of a, enthusiastic Spanish-speaking guy. He speaks English, but he's got an accent, and he's like, he's doing yoga or some type of meditation, and Josh is like, not disturbing him, but eventually he asks Lucas for advice on a certain dance move. He's like, so I'm confused on to which one I should end with. Do you mind if I show you? And so he shows Reyes his dance move, and he's like, so which one? And so he's like, so what do you think? And he said, Reyes is like, okay, yeah, that's good. And then the other guy's like, which one? And then Reyes says, why not both? And so he's like, yeah, see, that's the positivity I was talking about. Because earlier he tells Reyes to be positive. He says, positivity will bring your dream come true. Always chase your dreams, or they will chase you, or something like that. Some type of ridiculous dialogue. He's full of shit because he says things that don't make sense, minus his foreignness. Anyway, it's not long until this guy drugs Reyes. He goes to get some tequila from the plain bar, puts down the glasses. Reyes sips his, but Reyes looks at his phone, starts texting, and realizes his vision is getting blurry, and he's like, he asks the guy, what did you put in my drink? And they start fighting, but the guy, Kiani, I don't know how to pronounce his name, is confused as to why Reyes is not dying. Apparently Reyes has got some type of tolerance or immunity to it, and he's feeling the effects, but he's not immediately like falling down, fainting, dying, or whatever, so he's like, I'm confused, why are you not succumbed yet? And anyway, so we start to see that Reyes is a little bit of a special prodigy, if you will, special person. So they fight. Kayane is doing a bunch of kung fu moves, whooping Reyes' ass really. But Reyes does some kind of weird moves where he slams the top of his head up against the pipe that happens to be that plot wise just so happens to be on the ceiling. So it's like, TKO, instant death. And, yep, that's his first opponent. He has to try to hide the body. So the next good scene is him trying to stuff the body up in the attic of the ceiling of the plane. In the bathroom. Of all places. Yep. The character Isha, played by Karita Chandran, is asking what's going on. There's a guy that's pretending to be an air marshal. He's like, I demand you open this door right now, blah blah blah. And anyway, we found out that the air marshal is not really an air marshal because when Reyes asks him to see his badge, and he's like, he doesn't see his badge, so he knocks him out, and he tells the two flight attendants to step in, Isha and her fellow flight attendant Wos, played by Danny Ashok. And Danny Ashok is like our first line of comedy, right? Reyes tells them the truth that he's looking for somebody on the plane, somebody called Ghost, and he needs their cooperation. So we spend the whole 30 minutes with them helping him, but it's not long until Lucas finds out that Isha herself is Ghost, because they're in the cargo hold. He asked, does he have to slide down, or is there a way around it? Isha's like, I'll show you where it is. She shows him where the cargo hold is. Isha is sweating in a hot-ass plane, and he's like, you're sweating. And she's like, yes. And he says, it's a cold sweat. You're holding your wound. I do that too sometimes. So based on that little bit of I don't know how it works exactly. He finds out that Isha is Ghost. Once again, not to be confused with Ava Starr. And she's like, yeah, you caught me. And she later on tells him her story. Apparently she got started. She was put into child labor, more or less, which is basically a type of slave labor. Apparently cell phones, the parts that go in the cell phones are made via child labor, which is slave labor. And Isha has a past with that, but also she has a past with they saw that she was a child labor. She was moved around a bit. And then at age 7, she was found out that she had a particular set of skills, hacking skills. And those hacking skills were utilized by people involving, I don't know, cartels, smugglers, business people that somehow were working with corporations that sold cell phones and other technologies. And she, over the years, obtained all these hacking skills. Eventually, she wanted to get out and reverse the damage she had done. So she spent the next decade developing a supercomputer that would hack some algorithm or whatever, do something, and expose the criminal underworld involving child slave label. When she first tells Lucas about that, he's like, yeah, well, whatever, but you could tell by his expression that he doesn't like child slave label. And I'm like, really? Does this have to be about child slave label? They got this from, what was that movie about child slave a few years ago that came out? Well, you know where I'm getting with this. Sound of Echoes or some shit. Anyway, Sound of Freedom, I think. Was it Sound of Freedom? Yeah, Sound of Freedom, 2023 film involving child sex trafficking. But this is not sex trafficking. This is child labor. Anyway, that's pretty much the premise of it. Fighting more bad guys. Apparently, Isha had been helped by Master Leon, played by Juju Chan Setsu, and her crew, which are like these monk-like kung fu fighters. You gotta have those. Like I said, it's very reminiscent of Bullet Train. Also, Vet is one of those. She's actually shot at one point, I think. Once, she's one of the women that, well, all of them are killed, but they don't kill them quickly. They kill them kind of evenly, if you get what I mean. Like, they're killed off in not rapid succession, but there's time between the killings of each of them. I think the first one is Mai or something, and then Vet, and then finally the leader, Master Yan. Oh, and how they meet Reyes, and how Reyes meets them is Master Yan hits Reyes with a sorry, I thought I was showing my screen. Master Leon hits Reyes with a dart that is supposed to knock him out. And then Isha says to him, "Wait, she's with me." But he punches her in the face. He punches Master Leon in the face. And I love this. I love how Lucas Reyes, Josh Hartnett's character, is so willing to even fight women. And I love that because it shows that he doesn't have time to play with anybody. That's the type of career he's in. And because they're all out to get him, and Ghost here, played by, Isha, played by Karitwa Chadran. I can't say the names. Sorry. So, very luminous of Bullet Train. That's where I'm going to end my review. I don't remember any of it, the rest to talk about it. It's not as good as Bullet Train, though. Bullet Train was a little bit funnier. This just has ridiculousness given by Josh Hartnett, because there's a funny moment when Josh is high on some type of drug. No, it's like no. He thinks it's adrenaline, but it's not adrenaline. It's something else, and he's like seeing all these bedazzled things like fireworks and stuff. And there's a point that he pierces somebody's skull with something, and blood comes out, but instead of seeing blood, he sees fireworks. It's really funny. I really think they should have a Bullet Train and Fight or Flight movie together with both Brad Pitt as his character and Josh Hartnett's character, Lucas Reyes. It's like Bullet Train came out roughly 3 years ago. I forgot the name of the character. And instantly from the review, Ladybug, played by Brad Pitt, instantly from the review, from the trailer, I could tell that it was very Bullet Train like. But of course in Bullet Train you had Tangerine and Lemon played by Aaron Taylor Johnson and Brian Terry Henry respectively, and that's just what made it so funny. They should have these two characters, Ladybug and Lucas Reyes, in one movie. Because if you look at the font alone of the poster, okay, it's not exactly the same, but I think that one of the posters had yellow font color. Very hilarious. Very funny movie. Oh my god. But anyway, yeah, it's like from the producers of John Wick. Damn it, from the producers of John Wick. I think Bullet Train was from the producers of John Wick. Wasn't it? Who were the producers? Thanks. God. Casting crew, let's get that started. Because I want to find out who's producers, man. Sorry. Anyway. So, I guess we'll just find out who the producers of John Wick are. But yeah, let's see some reviews of this movie. My God, I'm not ready. Let me go into my playlist tab here. Let's get Jeremy Jahns.
Everyday life doesn't cut you any slack. The simplest things can send you to your final destination just like that.
The Josh Hartnett resurgence, it's real! Here's the newest chapter of it. Alright, let's see how quickly we can fast track this review. So Fight or Flight stars Josh Hartnett. He's a former agent slash wreck of a human being. His former colleague, played by Katie Sackhoff, gets him on this plane in which there's a target that he needs to apprehend alive. But he doesn't know who this target is. Only thing is, on this plane there are a bunch of mercenaries here to kill the target. He doesn't know who the mercenaries are. Nobody knows who this target is. Explaining it out loud, it kind of sounds like some sort of cinematic variant to the game Werewolf, if you've ever played that. Anyhow, action movie madness ensues that all takes place in this commercial flight. It's a flight that takes place between Bangkok and San Francisco, so it's a really big plane, a lot of space to move around. And I mean, anyhow, action movie madness ensues that all takes place in this commercial flight. Have you ever played that? Anyhow, act like some sort of cinematic variant to the game Werewolf, if you've ever played that. Anyhow, action movie madness ensues that all takes place in this commercial flight. It's a flight that takes place between Bangkok and San Francisco, so it's a really big plane, a lot of space to move around. And I mean it about the Josh Hartnett resurgence, man. He works in this movie, and he works for us, the audience. He was the cool kid back in the 90s, the cool guy in the 2000s. Now he's the chill dad we're just kind of rooting for. He works in the same way Keanu Reeves works for John Wick. Yeah, Keanu had the Matrix movies under his belt, but there's something else entirely about being the biggest badass assassin in any room. And it works because he has that chill, cool guy energy. It's the contrast between the chill vibe of the guy and the job of being a badass assassin. I see a little bit of that with Josh Hartnett being cast in this movie. I think that's what's working for Josh Hartnett right now. This movie doesn't waste your time, also leans into its strengths. If it sounds like some sort of 90s fever dream action movie, it kind of is, and it knows that. Leans into that. In terms of vibe, think Executive Decision and Bullet Train went splat. Bit of Passenger 47 in there too. Point is, it's like Bullet Train went splat. Bit of Passenger 47 in there too. Point is, it's like Bullet Train meets 90s movie on a plane. Even has that Bullet Train vibe where everything, the action, the characters, is just a little exaggerated. The mercenary assassin characters have some sort of comic book character-ism to them. They have a thing that makes them stand out. More shaky cam than I like. That kind of bothered me. I do get why shaky cam became, past tense, a thing. It was this shaky camera technique that made everything feel a little more intense. You were supposed to feel the adrenaline that's happening in the room with the characters. That was a hot new thing for about 5 work days. And then at a point, the glaze of that wore off, and now we're just like, yeah, I'd like my action sequences not so shaky and framed up, thanks. This movie's like, yeah, but shaky cam. Not as annoying as I've seen it in other movies, but enough for me to be like, yeah, you could have done without it. And the way the movie, not ended, that's not the problem, but the way the last act of the movie was, feels like in the pitch room, someone was like, all right, sir, that's the way we've all devised for the last act of this film to go down. Which scenario did you like best? A, B, C, D, or E? Yes. But which one did you like best? Yes. Okay. And they just kind of did it all. I will say some of the script, when the movie starts out, there's this one character who just has what my mom in the 90s would call a limited vocabulary. I'm not above the cursing and the F-bombs, you know that, but you gotta make it stylistic, you gotta make it punch. Gotta keep it feeling special. This guy was kind of like a junior high student. I was like, so the F word is the only thing you can say to illustrate or emphasize your point. I'm just saying, when you curse too frequently and too often, it just feels, well, lame. See,
yeah, like a little bit like Tropic Thunder.
You thought I was going to say fucked, didn't you? You gotta keep people on their toes. Look, in the end, I had a fun time with Fight or Flight. Josh Hartnett's relatable as ever. I have no doubt he's part of what makes this actually work. The action was madness. It leans into its 90s premise as the action movie it should be. Even though the last act did get a bit messy, I had myself a really fun time with this one. No alcohol required. All right, so Fight or Flight. It's actually one of the more clever names I've heard lately for a movie. But have you seen it? What did you think about it? Whatever you thought, comment below, let me know. And as always, if you like what you've seen here and you want to see more, click right here to see more.
Yeah, it's not doing so well, but I guess in order to be certified fresh, we have to get that 80 range. Just give it time. Same thing with the,
Whether you're tinkering in your garage or tackling big projects, if you know the value of working with your hands, you know.
Let's switch it up a bit, though. Let's see what Film Threat thinks. Let's catch Film Threat first. Why is this acting the way it does? I have no idea.
Alan, you and I both saw Fight or Flight. This stars Josh Hartnett. It is an 80s inspired action, and I would say also comedy, sort of just below the surface.
69.
It's directed by James Madigan. It's a simple story. Josh Hartnett plays an ex-Secret Service FBI agent, Lucas Reyes, and he is the only guy in Thailand right now who can get on a flight where the ghost, we don't know who this person is. They've been completely under the radar, even on surveillance. They cannot be picked up. And this person is going on a flight from Thailand to San Francisco and committed some heinous crimes. And this ghost is wanted. So Josh Hartnett's on this plane, doesn't know who he's looking for. He's on the flight. He has to find out who is the ghost. unbeknownst to him, the entire flight is filled with assassins, all after Ghost, and no one knows who Ghost is. So it's like Bullet Train on a
plane. It's Bullet
That's
Plane.
What this is Bullet Plane. Yeah, Bullet Train on a plane. Simple premise. It's and I gotta say this. There's a Katie Sackhoff plays like sort of the like the intelligence boss of a company that plays into the story. Not going to talk about second half story spoilers there, but I will say this. This is a stupid, over the top, dumb action comedy saved by Josh Hartnett. His charm, I don't know what he is, man. Guy's on a roll. From that M. Night Shyamalan movie he did to Oppenheimer to this, I also, as I'm watching it, the movie, I'm like, he would have made a great Reed Richards. Why not Josh Hartnett as Reed Richards? Just think of him. He's got the square jaw. He could do the hair. He's the right age. Reed Richards is a little older. He would have been a better Reed Richards. He can always do the hair. And he's willing. Look, he went blonde for this. He's a drunk when we first meet him. He's broken over an experience.
He's kind of a burned agent.
He's like a burned out agent that doesn't want to, refusal of the call. That's the Joseph Campbell on the hero's journey. The one thing that really bugged me is the overuse of shaky cam in all the action. And by the end, the level, I was not prepared for this. The level of gore in this movie is on the level in the third act, like a horror movie. I mean, the kills are really weird and creative ways that people die. They're like funny, creative, bizarre. But by the end, it's like a Tarantino film. It is nonstop gore. Totally like you don't believe all the things that are happening, is like so over the top. I felt the third act, what I'll say, the third act got kind of dumb. It was like it had this kind of message. It wanted to sneak in all these messages about the environment, child labor, trafficking. Yeah. It was like it was a weird thing where they couldn't decide which social message to weave into the story in the third act. So they just did all of them. But it's done in such a dumb way that you can't take it seriously. It's almost like the movie was mocking movies that include some kind of social message. It's stupid to include some weird over the top message in a movie that is a gory action comedy. So with the exception of the camera work, the stupid third act, I had fun. I would put this in a category of a good, bad movie because aspects of it are really bad and stupid and just annoying, including like Katie Sackhoff has this underling at the intelligence agency she works at, and he is a moron. And oh my God, I could not.
He's a brown noser. Yeah.
Brown nosing moron that gets a bigger part by the third act, and I couldn't stand that guy. But Josh Hartnett is the heart of this movie. I'll say one more thing, and then I want to hear what you think. There's a part where he's like he's been stabbed and he's injured, and what does he do to pump himself up? He thinks he's drinking adrenaline, but it's really some hallucination. It's like
psychedelic.
Psychedelic drug. And as he's going through action, you see in his mind what he's seeing, which is like sparklers and rainbows, but he's really murdering people. The audience lost it. It was fun. It was really fun. So I recommend it, even with the flaws. It is a highly flawed, good, bad movie where I had a lot of fun. Like a 6.5 or 7, I would say, out of 10. 6.5 probably. But I had a good time. Josh Hartnett, Reed Richards, make it happen. Alan, what did you think?
It's too late for that. But
I know.
Yeah, unfortunately for this stream, I have to agree with you. I really love this movie.
It's fun.
Yeah, the one comment you made is the one that I walked away with was this there's more gore in this movie than than all the horror films I've seen combined so far. I haven't seen a lot, but this just goes for it. The way people are dismembered and killed and murdered, it's like, how many times are you gonna stab someone in the eyeball? Because there's a lot of eyeball stuff in here. I was looking away for probably a good third of the movie, but I did like the story. As you say, Josh Hartnett, very sympathetic character, very well-defined character. You're rooting for him all the way. There's also the stewardess, the what do we call him nowadays, flight attendant, Aisha, who I'll just say this, I like movies that put cute women in it, and it makes the movie easier to watch all the way through, especially one this violent. And she is very adorable, very cute, and has a big part in how things play out.
And there are sexy assassins.
Yeah, sexy assassins. Oh yeah, and then there's the trio, the women trio. To your point about bringing all this messaging, it's all designed to kind of spotlight the motivations of the ghost and why there are assassins on board and why people want to get to the ghost. It's one of those things where we need to build sympathy for the ghost motivation. So we're going to use things that people believe in, such as climate change and human trafficking and things like that. It just represents how writers today think, oh, well, of course everyone believes in climate change, or at least believes in what I think climate change is. It's just kind of a fool's errand when you do that. And it weakens the character because there is a debate, and you're certainly taking a side when you go to one of the extreme sides about it. But having said all that, yeah, I had a lot of fun. It's a brutal watch. Let's put that. I think we're reviewing 2 other horror films, and this is gorier than those horror films.
The best movie.
Sometimes you just need a moment. Nature-made gummy vitamins. Self-care made easy.
My kids can't hide anything from me.
I'm home.
Especially when they've been using toilet paper that doesn't hold up.
Charmin Ultra Strong has a diamond weave texture that's more durable. And it cleans better, so you can use less. Enjoy the go with Charmin.
A Josh Hartnett action thriller that's just coming to U.S. cinemas had already been released earlier this year in Europe. So you have the option to check out Fight or Flight on the big screen or hit it up on streaming if you happen to have a VPN. But which is the better option? A mercenary takes on the job of tracking down a target on a plane, but ends up having to protect them when they're surrounded by people trying to kill them both. Coming off his psychotic turn in Trap, Hartnett is now playing a burnt-out merc who appears to live life from drink to drink. When he's called on to identify and then protect an asset on a plane, the whole thing becomes a snafu, which turns into a foobar situation. Think of this insane action thriller as Bullet Train meets Smokin' Aces, but in a massive 2-story plane. So yeah, you need to leave all disbelief at the door and then simply accept that there will be utter ridiculousness. If you can do that, you're rewarded with a balls-out, crazy, close-quarters melee that showcases brutal beatings, wicked and fluid fight choreography, and then a wide variety of weaponry, including a chainsaw. Now, outside the plane, I mean on the ground, not dangling on the wing like some Twilight Zone episode, we have Katie Sackhoff and Julian Kostov playing enigmatic, spook-type roles where they have incredible access to surveillance technology, and they're the ones that hired Hartnett for his skills. Now, this area of the story, it's fine, because it's the MacGuffin for getting Hartnett involved. Outside of that, though, they're very generic figures, with supposed intrigue and mystery surrounding them that is just uninteresting and bland. And they do have an interaction that helps fill in some background on Hartnett, but it comes in the form of an exposition dump. So while it is informative, it's also lazily accomplished. And I'm not sure we really need the backstory. I mean, sure, it goes to inform us of the deeper rationale of why Hartnett behaves as he does, but it's not necessary for the overall plot. The dude has a need. Those who hire him can fulfill that need, and we get to watch savage carnage inside a limited space. Now, inside the plane, aside from Josh Hartnett, we have a few standout performances that work to add action and levity. Sharith Rashandran, who you might recognize from Bridgerton, there's also Juju Chanzetso, Danny Eshok, and Huey O'Donnell, and they all complement the story. Sometimes with brilliant fighting skills, other times with awkward snark that's mainly amusing. Now, Eshok and O'Donnell especially add to the humor because while they're absolutely horrified by what's transpiring on the plane, they're also incredibly dedicated to their job as flight attendants and receiving outstanding customer satisfaction reviews. So there's this hilarious balance between them being grossed out or terrified and then offended at having to inconvenience their passengers. Now, I love the dynamic and the chemistry between Hartnett and Chandran. They both have this sarcastic edge to them, which provides entertaining personality clashes and interactions. And the reason this feels somewhat like Smokin' Aces is that as the story goes along, we find out how many assassins just happen to be on the same flight, which then allows for all of that planned chaos. Now, the scenario is unbelievable and preposterous, but that doesn't affect the excitement. I mean, so many times Hartnett is just visually bewildered and then annoyed at how many people seem to be coming after him. He creates his reactions to be engaging and still believable, within, of course, the absurd situation. He's also a functioning drunk, so he moves through the story in sort of a haze, angry that he is slowly becoming less drunk. But he's so skilled that he's not terribly impaired physically. And while this could be completely unbelievable, it also allows him to be carefree and dismissive, and even cynical in his mannerisms and his responses. And these are both weirdly inviting and annoyingly callous, but they fit the characterization perfectly. The movie's 97 minutes, and it knows exactly what it is. It doesn't belabor moments or even allow much downtime. I mean, there are some small reprieves, but these allow for increased character engagement, while also setting up some more tense action. Aside from the offshoot storyline that follows Sakoff's character, the close-quarters battles and violent hand-to-hand combat work to make the storytelling tight and energetic. I like Sakoff in this. I mean, she plays a good, no-nonsense operator, but the story doesn't allow much from her. She's just there to provide facts on Hartnett for us, as well as provide the impetus for the plot. And after that, the storyline's mainly meh. And going back to the action, the visuals we get are gross and painful. I mean, I'm talking arms and legs being forced in very wrong directions, body parts being pierced in creatively disgusting ways, and then the use of improvised weaponry that will make you look at all of the items on your next flight very differently. And the choreography, it's tight, and thanks to the confined space, we're typically pretty close to the action. So we can watch the bones snap and then the blood spurt. And I like, too, that the cinematography allows for some wider or deeper shots, giving us more of the scope of some of the all-out assaults that are happening. I mean, we can feel the momentum and the energy of these clashes. So when a drink cart comes barreling down an aisle and then it hits somebody, we're aware of the speed and the mass and then that crushing effect the cart has. But when we need to watch somebody have their head squished under an armrest, the camera gets all close and intrusive so we can see that terror and struggle too. And thankfully also, despite the limited space and the chaotic fights, the action is easily seen, and it's not obscured through a bunch of quick edits or blurry shaky cam. There's enough movement to convey the energy, but not so much that everything becomes indecipherable. And because the movie knows exactly what it is and it works to fulfill that mission, Fight or Flight, it's a blast to watch. And it's silly fun that's jam-packed with brutal fights, bone-snapping blows, and immersive choreography. Josh Hartnett and Sharith Rashandran create a delightfully dysfunctional pairing, full of acerbic wit, testy conversations, and just the right amount of endearing sweetness. The sequences outside the aircraft are lackluster, and they only serve as story setup. But despite that, Katie Sackhoff's interactions with Hartnett elicit humorous exchanges and provide the backing to get everything going. The film doesn't outstay its welcome, and it delivers continuous thrills amidst a preposterous story foundation. You won't go wrong by seeing this in the theater or at home via VOD, but watching all the carnage on the big screen can be a lot more exciting. There's no sex or nudity, a ton of profanity, almost non-stop savage violence. I give Fight or Flight 3.5 out of 5 couches. So what other crazy action movies do you love to watch? Let me know some of them in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.
Hi, I'm Brett.
And I'm Jonathan.
This is Darla.
And this is Buddy.
We're the founders of The Farmer's Dog.
Please open the door.
1 second!
Last year's Trap proved that no matter the film, Josh Hartnett will deliver a great performance that can anchor any story. It's been awesome to see him back in leading roles and proving why he never should have left. And I don't know about you, but I love an airplane movie. Air Force One, Red Eye, and even Snakes on a Plane proved how much tense fun can be had aboard an airplane. Then you've got Fight or Flight, which pits one target against a plane full of assassins, proving there are even more high stakes at being trapped 30,000 feet in the air. But as serious as it sounds, this is decidedly more funny than expected. Fight or Flight is high energy from minute one and keeps the momentum going throughout the film. Following Lucas Reyes, a mercenary who has to protect a target known as the Ghost, on a plane from many assassins out to kill them. It's a simple plot that has a lot of mileage due to the performance at the center by Josh Hartnett. Reyes clearly had a rough past and is drowning himself in drugs to escape reality. It's far from the usual straight-laced action hero lead. And he has a fun dynamic with Charitha Chandran's Isha, a flight attendant on the plane who helps Reyes. As a Battlestar Galactica fan, Katie Sackhoff can do no wrong, so it's great to see her as the head of the organization that's sending Reyes after the Ghost. She's commanding, but still has some humor to her, being more than just the typical powerful leader type. There are some fun twists and turns that will keep you guessing, while never feeling out of left field. I won't deny that there are some familiar beats to some of the reveals, but it never enters corny territory. This is ridiculous and over the top and fully embraces both. As much as I love logic, realism doesn't always have to go with it. This doesn't shy away from the absurd, and it makes it stand out tonally.
Someone's put a hit on him.
It's hard to make an action movie these days, as pretty much everything has been done before. I appreciate creativity, even if it doesn't break bank, and Fight or Flight really swings for the fences. The fight scenes take inspiration from John Wick, with long, unbroken takes and hardly ever just a singular action. There are multiple beats happening within the frame, avoiding the nauseating shaky cam trend. It's impactful and doesn't feel overly choreographed. I love a high body count, and this one gets pretty detailed in its carnage. These aren't just a bunch of simple shootings. There are all sorts of weapons being used, ranging from chainsaws to fire sprinklers to climbing axes. It's a great mix that prevents things from getting stale. The airplane has all the hallmarks of a classic plane movie set, being far larger than any plane that I've seen. Take, for example, the bathroom, which is laughably large and has way more space than any actually have in reality. But that's part of the fun. There are a couple of dumb moments, like a random yoga class who's only there to be made fun of. But the few bits of sophomoric humor don't ruin the otherwise fun film. The score follows the Hans Zimmer path, and composer Paul Saunderson does a good job of making this fit in with modern action. Action scores feel like such an afterthought these days that it's nice that it has some personality. Similar to 2022's Bullet Train, Fight or Flight is able to avoid the same mistakes, never trying to do too much, and is very aware of its limitations. This isn't a $100 million film, and it doesn't need to be. They utilize their resources well, and Hartnett as Lucas Reyes is just so damn fun. There's a twist in this film that is so unexpected, yet makes everything so much better in hindsight that it really ties a nice bow on everything. And it really felt appropriate for the modern era. Here's hoping that this lands with a bang and we're able to get the sequel that's teased. Because I need more of this world. Which is why I'm giving Fight or Flight an 8 out of 10.
Now, these people are paid a lot of money for first-class service, and I cannot have them disturbed.
Thank you for clicking on our video, everybody. If you like what you saw here, please make sure you like the video and subscribe and share with your friends who like this sort of content. Joe Blow was created by movie fans for movie fans, and we appreciate your support.
With the Amex Gold Card, you get rewarded for discovering new favorites. From the hottest hot pot to a new twist on classic Brazilian, or satisfying your sweet tooth. Experience it all while earning 4 times membership rewards points at restaurants worldwide. Plus, you can get up to $100 back annually when you pay with the Gold Card to dine at U.S. Resi restaurants. Discover elevated dining experiences with Amex Gold.
Hey guys, John here, and I just got out of seeing the new Josh Hartnett action film, Fight or Flight. And listen, the best way to describe this film is kind of that it's a poor man's version of Bullet Train. But I loved Bullet Train, and so being a poor man's version of that isn't half bad. Listen, the action is absolutely bonkers. There's a huge body count. It's incredibly gory. A lot of blood, a lot of violence. It's kind of funny in places. Great movie? No. I mean, something like Bullet Train is a better film. But you know what? I didn't think I could buy into Josh Hartnett as an action star, but he rocked the crap out of this movie. Like, he's really fun in it. Again, the action is great. The hand-to-hand combat was fantastic. A lot of the personalities of a lot of the killers were almost Quentin Tarantino-esque. Again, great movie? No, but this movie's called Fight or Flight. You've seen the trailers. You know what you're in for. It's just a lot of great violence, great action, creative kills. It's a fun little movie. I had a good time with it. Anyway, I'll talk more about it on the John Campea Show tomorrow, and I'll talk to you then.
That's Nick.
And that's Joseph. And today we're here to talk about Fight or Flight, the directorial debut of James Madigan, which Vertical Entertainment is releasing in the U.S. theatrically May 9th, 2025.
Hey guys, John.
Directorial debut. What is Fight or Flight about? A mercenary takes on the job of tracking down a target on a plane, but must protect her when they're surrounded by people trying to kill both of them.
That's funny that mercenary is in the description because the dialogue takes pains to tell us that he's not or wasn't.
Well, who knows who wrote that IMDb premise. What is your pull quote?
Sans a chainsaw tossed around like a dodgeball, there's not a single original idea in Fight or Flight, which may not trigger any kind of palpable stress response, but it does allow Josh Hartnett carte blanche as a rugged, charming soldier of fortune.
Mine, Josh Hartnett shines in this gonzo B action film.
It definitely is a B film.
I enjoyed this one.
Yeah, it's enjoyable if utterly inconsequential.
The story. Josh Hartnett plays an ex-Secret Service agent who's been blacklisted because once when he was protecting some sort of dignitary, he got in trouble for trying to stop this dignitary from abusing an underage sex worker. And unfortunately for him, that dignitary's brother is the deputy director of the CIA. So Josh Hartnett's passport was taken away. He was put on the no-fly list. So we find Josh Hartnett in Bangkok as this alcoholic taxi driver. Okay, so separate from that, on this day, there's some agency which initially we think would be like a federal agency, but there is some nefarious character called a ghost who they're trying to find. And we see on surveillance that this person's body is like blurred out. So this person, the ghost, clearly has access to a lot of high-tech stuff. But they find out that the ghost is boarding a flight in Bangkok
to San Francisco.
So they're like, okay, well, who can we get to stop the ghost? Well, we don't have, like, our closest team is in Shanghai, I think, or somewhere.
Singapore?
Singapore. So that's when the leader of this group goes, oh, I know someone. And she calls Josh Hartnett and convinces him that if you do this job for me, I'll reinstate your flight privileges and get you your passport back. So he says, okay. He gets on the plane and things just go left. Like for the next hour and some change, like the premise reads, everyone on the plane is looking for the ghost. And Josh Hartnett figures out who the ghost is very quickly. It's this lady who's pretending to be a flight attendant.
Isha, played by Charitha Chandran from Bridgerton.
And he ends up trying to protect her because he's told by the person who hired him that he needs to bring her in alive. So he's trying to stop these people from killing her. But eventually we learn that she's not nefarious. She's actually created some technology that like can like break into any encrypted sort of technology or something vague. But her mission is to put an end to like child sex trafficking and child slave labor. So that's when Josh Hartnett realizes that he really needs to protect her. So in the very end, because the whole plan is that when that flight lands in San Francisco, the people who hired Josh Hartnett are going to take that technology. And we already learned that they're trying to use that to get money. So these people who hired Josh Hartnett are
This
not
may
good
be
people.
the last ad you ever see.
And might
Because with the
once
free
you pull
ad
that
block
thread,
extension
you
from
might find
Capital
a
One
lot of other people
Shopping,
are
you can say
complicit in these
goodbye to
kind of,
ads on sites like YouTube.
scenarios.
But the final gag is this ghost lady is smarter than they thought, because she
That's
actually
right.
has
No
that
more
plane
interruptions,
redirected
just nonstop
somewhere
streaming
else,
on your
very
favorite
far away
sites.
from San Francisco.
Change my start
And
time.
so the final scene is that Josh Hartnett is convalescing in this hospital that looks like it's in a war-torn area. And then all of a sudden, like, fighting breaks out, and the ghost tells Josh Hartnett, like, we have more work to do. So maybe there'll be a second installment. But yeah, I thought this was a lot of fun.
It is fun, but again, are you going to remember a week from now half of anything about this narrative?
Nope.
Which
It's like Bullet Train. You're gonna have to watch it multiple times to understand to remember the plot. Even I had to remember the plot.
it reminded me of so many other things from the. Again, I liked Fight or Flight better
Yeah,
than this film,
that
but
block
Wolves
kept on, they went to
came
the
to
shop
mind
so
with Brad Pitt
bad.
and George Clooney, where the ability to call some miraculous cleaner at the last minute to come take care of everything. And then, of course, we assume, as you said, that they're a federal agency, but they're not. Catherine,
how
played by
much
Katie
space they
Sackhoff,
save.
and Aaron, played by Julian Kostov, who was just in the latest season of White Lotus. Their banter, I found, like everything else feels like it could have been kicked up a notch to match the level of violence that's happening on the plane, because it feels like all the effort went into the choreographed violence, which sometimes feels quite impressive.
I thought it felt silly, like almost borderline campy.
Silly, but it feels
already
like,
had
of course,
this.
Bullet Train came to mind, and I think Josh Hartnett's a lot more charming than Brad Pitt is in that film. But that film was silly. I think this works. The silliness in this works better.
Sure. So first off, just going through, it's very, very violent. So I thought I'd go through some of the violent moments that stuck out to me. The first kill we see on the plane is there is someone who's acting as a like air marshal, and they are trying to break into the bathroom that Josh Hartnett is in. And he takes that person and like shoves them into the sprinkler in the ceiling. So the person's dangling from the ceiling because the sprinkler's been jabbed into their cranium. I thought that was very violent.
That wasn't an air marshal. That was another.
I was about to say that wasn't the L Marshal. The L Marshal was afterwards.
Oh, that was the passenger named Cayenne who had drugged Josh Hartnett because he's also a merc on the plane trying to get the ghost.
Because it's also very John Wick. Everybody, all of these criminals that are trying to get the ghost have gotten this message that she's,
Bounty
like in
hunters.
John Wick lingo, excommunicado.
Also, when Cayenne, that first kill, tries to drug Josh Hartnett, he recognizes that I've been drugged. But, you know, it's made to seem like he is an utter alcoholic, and he tells Cayenne, you can't pickle a pickle. Then we see Josh Hartnett kill a lady by jamming a champagne flute into her eye. That was pretty gruesome. We see another character get harpooned.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think that more attention to detail was spent on the kills.
There's a woman on the plane who has some pretty crazy blue eye contacts. And Josh Hartnett ends up killing her by smashing her in the head with a hatchet. Then we get a moment, the pilots of the plane are locked in the the cockpit, and for some reason they opened the door for these two Mormon guys. I was very confused by that scene. I didn't understand if the Mormon guys were mercenaries or they were just scared, but they ended up killing one of the pilots by shooting him in the eye with a flare gun.
Were they Mormon?
They were holding Bibles and they were wearing white with little badges.
Well, they'd have the Book of Mormon then. They wouldn't have the Bible.
Well, it was some sort of text. I don't know what it was.
Everyone wonder how you get those little
They
words.
looked to me like missionaries, so let's not say Mormons.
I agree, but yeah, they are able to get into the cockpit for ridiculous.
This is how you automatically
kind of accidentally kill the pilots.
Then there's this. It's in the
My advice to
trailer
young
that
filmmakers-
they get a hold of a chainsaw, which is not totally ridiculous because we see in the cargo bay that there is a chainsaw that's been packaged up very well, but because of all the shuffling around, it's fallen out. But then, of course, bringing it out into the cockpit, and at one point, we see Josh Hartnett slicing and dicing everyone, and then he throws it at someone and like kills them, and you hear in the background someone saying, "Everything's okay." I thought it was funny.
Again, yes, it has some humorous touches. Chainsaws are very heavy. You don't...
To change my start time, I'm going to go up to these 3 little lines here next to my sequence name. Click on that. Then I'm going to go down to start time. And from there I can set my start time to whatever I want. In this case, I want it to start 2 seconds before the 1 hour mark. Now let's say I want to add a 2-pop. I'm going to line my footage up to the 1 hour mark. I'm going to go to my project panel, right click, go to new item, bars and tone, click OK, and then I'm just going to grab 1 frame of audio here. And then I'm going to grab my pop sound and add it to the very beginning of my timeline. And now I have a 2-second lead up to when my video starts.
Interesting.
Just throw them.
Okay, the lady running this organization, which turns out to be some sort of I think it's like some tech security
We
firm.
see an advertisement when they step outside about, let us secure your data.
Yeah, it's called Blue Hype. So I think it's like a data security company. But the lady running it, her name's Catherine. She's going on my worst hair list. But for similar reasons too, we reviewed a movie called Clock, I think, with Melora Hardin. And it also, for the same reason, her hair is just so overly complicated for the job. Like, for what she's doing, her character is also, seems to be high stress.
She takes CBD.
We see her taking CBD oil. We see her doing, breathing exercises to calm down. It just seems kind of crazy that someone like her would have this very complicated hairdo in a time like this. But...
I mean, it looks like a stiff wind would kind of throw that all out of place as well.
So... on the plane, we see that most of the passengers on there are people looking to capture the ghost, but then at a point, they all have Josh Hartnett's picture on their phone. And so Catherine runs this data security company, but underneath her is Alexei from The White Lotus Season 3.
Aaron, Julian Kostov.
And he knew about this technology the ghost had. And so he had sort of orchestrated a lot of the things that are happening because he wanted access to it, because he knew whoever had it, it's worth billions of dollars. And then at a point, his boss, Catherine, confronts him about it. And I knew that's when things were not going to go well, because he goes, well, we can just split it. Yeah, sure.
No.
In the end, she ends up killing him.
I also thought Snakes on a Plane came to mind as well.
Well, even reading the description, I thought of Snakes on a Plane.
Right.
So Josh Hartnett's character gets beat up pretty bad at a point. He's been I think he's been stabbed in the abdomen. So when it's time to get back up and fight, he gets a hold of what he thinks is adrenaline. So he does an injection of adrenaline. But then we find out that it's actually toad venom.
Oh, he just drinks it. He doesn't inject it.
He drinks it. But I thought it was funny because then now he's acting all high, and I thought the visuals looked really cool.
There were cute visuals because the cat eye lady is when he's riding that high that he's killing, and he's seeing sparking lights flashing out of her head, and it's really, he has stabbed her in the head and it's blood gushing. And it seems like almost everybody on this plane that has a ticket is some kind of assassin, but there are other passengers, and I think that it's funny whenever we get to see a civilian on the plane having to react to the carnage.
Well, and also because a lot of them are kind of being casual. This plane has been taken over and there are people being brutally murdered all around you. There's also one flight attendant who I'm assuming is supposed to be gay.
Garrett,
who I thought was cute.
Huey O'Donnell. Yes, he is in charge of the first class
elite
diamond
whatever
elite bullshit they call all that. Okay. Yes, he's entertaining.
And then in the trailer, you see that someone, of course, pulls out a gun, and it's actually a machine gun that causes one of the windows to shatter, which of course starts sucking people out of the plane. I don't know. I mean, it's also ridiculous, but I think it looked like everyone was having fun. Josh Hartnett looks like he's having fun, so I was having fun. And then the resolve of the ghost telling Josh Hartnett, bad news, we're not done yet, makes me think that maybe there'll be another one, which I wouldn't mind.
I wouldn't mind. If we can have 4 or more John Wicks, we can have another Fight or Flight. I don't know what they would call it, but I'm down for that. I'm also up for a sequel to Trap, really, if Mr. Hartnett's in it, because he's chosen some recent scripts wisely that he excels in.
I think it's pretty impressive for a directorial debut.
Yeah.
What would you give Fight or Flight?
3.
I think it's good. I would give it 3 out of 5. Join us on Patreon and listen to our podcast. Bye.
He's renowned in the movie.
Break free with the new Opera GX, the browser that puts you in control with a brand new design that frees up even more pixels for personalization and an inventory of features to up your game at every level. Like GX Control to help rein in your resources with integrated limiters for RAM, CPU, and network. A sidebar for direct access to your favorite side quests, streams, and posts. And built-in privacy tools like ad and tracker blockers and free no-log VPN. Check into GX Corner for the latest news.
Yep, that's what I have. I'm not sure if I got all that. I know, it's not using much RAM anyway, bro. Like, if I look at how much RAM memory, it's called memory. Opera GX is only using, oh, never mind then. Damn, it is using a lot. Microsoft Edge. Okay. Thought I was logged in. Bro, I'm logged in.
deals, and free games. But what really makes our hit different is mods, giving you the power to change everything from animated wallpapers to themes, sounds, music, and shaders, so you can change everything. Get Opera GX.
Hey guys, welcome to our movie review for Fight or Flight, which is billing itself as a kind of a John Wick on a plane.
Or Bullet Train.
Or Bullet Train, where you have
Better
like
movie.
these badass assassins, kicking each other's ass in small, tight, confined spaces. The trailer looked interesting. I like Josh Hartnett. I wanted to see some action. I wanted to see some fun and some goofy. And this film seemed to try to fit the bill. This week coming out in theaters, Fight or Flight, Clown in the Cornfield.
That's what I wanted to see.
Shadow Force. And I chose wrong.
Yes.
So do not make the same mistake that we made. This film was fucking terrible. It was cringe. From first-time director and first-time writer. First-time director.
You know what? Fuck you, Joe. Fine, let's see what you have to say, you little bitch.
Director James Madigan, first-time writer Brooks McLaren, and DJ Cotrona, which, fun fact here, he was in one of the G.I. Joes. He was actually cast as Superman in Justice League Mortal 20 years ago, but that got canceled before it came out. Yeah. Anyways, fun fact for you. But their writing is terrible. And I'm surprised that on Rotten Tomatoes right now, it is a 79%. Because while the film actually starts well enough, I kind of get the premise. You know, I think the premise is interesting. You've got this hacker, the ghost, and you got to find the ghost on the plane. But at the same time, there's tons of other assassins on the plane. And I'd say the first, 20 minutes are good. Once he has his first fight with this Hispanic dude, with a kind of they try to do some wackiness with every character having something unique and looking weird and off and being some kind of colorful comic book character in this crazy world. After that happens, it goes, ooh,
yep.
And it's real bad. And if you're not into, terrible writing, cringe jokes, over the top, comedy that none of it is funny, and it commits the biggest sin. I wanted to start with that. An action film that commits the biggest sin. Anytime there's punching and kicking and fighting, the film director decides to do this. Okay? I can end the fucking review here, okay? I want to go and see Josh Hartnett and John Wick on a plane. I don't want you to do this the whole fucking time. And it's not as if the choreography is particularly bad. It's not particularly inspired. Like there's certain sequence in John Wick where you're like, that's creative. Not really here. Most you get is, hey, what if we fucking throw in a chainsaw? Or what if we fucking... What if we put in a butter knife? What if we put in a gun? It feels as if the film was written on the fly. Well, what if we do this now? But it feels like it was written by a 12-year-old, and a 12-year-old's idea of, I can write Bullet Train better, and I'm gonna put in a message, and the message is, child labor's bad, and Twitter. And social media and little kids, something.
Kids bad and gay.
Yeah. And it just loses all steam. I fucking hated it. Josh Hartnett is the best part. He can still act. He can do some action. And he holds up most of it. So just watching his performance, all of the surrounding characters around him, terrible and awful, uninteresting, paper-thin characters.
Yep.
Katie Sackhoff is in here. I love her, but she has nothing. This Henry Rollins' son is in here. No, I don't know if it's his son. Just looks like him, just talks like him. And it's terrible. And they take there's these awkward moments in the film, and in the theater nobody reacted. It fell flat. And some cheap shots too that felt just like nasty. And it's like you're not at the talent level to do any of these or to take the shot, or you think you're punching down, you're punching up, and you're not even in the room. I don't know. This was bad, and I wanted it to be good. What did you guys think?
This movie, I liked the beginning. I liked where it was going, but then what you were saying, this movie
Where
felt
did it
like
fall off for you? Same place?
Pretty much as soon as we got to a place